Hi, I'm Sala, and in this video we are going to discuss the geometry and the basic trigonometrical identities and rotation matrices in the two-dimensional rotation case. Rotations are very important in robotics and aerospace. The really difficult ones are the three-dimensional rotations, but well, we should fully understand the 2D case before delving into the 3D one, so let's do it. Two-dimensional rotations are also important in the sense that we have many 2D problems in aerospace and robotics. A plane flying from Madrid to Lisbon, locally, distances are short, he can dismiss the curvature of the Earth, so he has a compass, he must fly west and turn left or right, so this is a planar problem. Flying from Madrid to Singapore will not be a planar problem because curvature of the Earth is important in large distances, but not so in short distances. Also in aerodynamics of flight, well, we have the angle of attack, phugoid modes, whatever, the longitudinal aircraft dynamics, up, down, turning, whatever, then, well, that's also a planar motion. If we separate it from the so-called lateral dynamics, each joint in a robotic arm carries out a planar rotation, usually. You may have spherical joints, but they are not so common. So, well, 2D rotation issues arise frequently in engineering, and also 3D rotations can be thought as a sequence of 2D rotations. It has some inconvenience, gimbal lock, whatever, but at first glance, we may think in an airplane maneuvering with, the yaw, z-axis rotation, pitch, y-axis rotation, and roll, x-axis rotation, and combining some roll, pitch, and yaw, we can maneuver the airplane or the satellite or whatever. So understanding 2D rotations, then it's an important thing. So let's go. Then let us consider a basic problem in, let's say, robotics or navigation. I have a robot with two wheels, let's say, moving in the world, and the robot sensors, LiDAR, ultrasound, cameras, whatever, detect a red point, landmark feature, at a certain distance, r, and at a certain angle, phi, of what the robot considers its forward direction, the perpendicular to the axis of rotation of the wheels or whatever. The robot lives in a world with forward, backward axis that we will call x in body frame, and the leftwards, rightwards axis that we will call y in body frame. And of course, what the robot senses is that distance r, angle phi, can be equivalently written as coordinate x body frame, coordinate y body frame of this red dot that my sensing hardware is detecting. So, next thing is the fact that my robot has a compass. And in his compass, the compass indicates a north, south, east, west, let's say, inertial frame of reference world in which my robot must navigate, robot, airplane, or whatever. Then maybe the robot's magnetometer detects that orientation is tilted an angle theta with respect to the eastwards direction. Forward direction makes an angle theta with respect to the eastwards direction. Of course, if the robot has GPS of the airplane, he will also know about the translation, longitude, latitude, or if I have a zenithal camera in my lab, I will be able to tell that my robot has moved 3 meters away from a particular door. But we are just considering rotations here. So we are just considering the magnetometer, the compass reading of my robot, theta, and the robot's internal sensors are mapping the red point, an angle phi, away from the forward direction, distance r. So basically the idea will be that in the world frame I will just need to add the angles and obtain the x world and y world coordinates with the sinus and cosinus of the sum of the angles. So I mean, this is it. 2D rotation is just sinus and cosinus of the sum of angles. The difficult thing will be 3D stuff, but as I said, let's understand first 2D. So well, the idea then is that the world coordinate will keep the distance to the center of my robot, r, but the angles will be added, and of course the cosinus and sinus of that angle sum will determine the x and y coordinates in the world frame, apart from translation, of course. And our goal is to express these world coordinates as a linear function of these body coordinates. Why the linear function? Well, because rotation is a linear operator, because, well, we will derive it in a minute, but intuitively, rotations do not change size of things, do not change shape of things, only perspective on them. And then, if the size of something is doubled, the size of its rotating thing will be doubled, and also sum and differences, it is the same. First making the difference, and then rotating this orange thing and obtain this, then first rotating the cyan vectors and then making the difference. So in general, rotations must behave like this, and this is how linear operators behave. Summing, subtracting, or scaling before rotating and then rotating. It's the same as first rotating and then scaling and adding or subtracting. So good, rotation is a linear operator, and then, which is the expression of the world coordinates as a function of the body coordinates? Well, we just need to apply this sum of angle identities. The cosinus of the sum is this thing, and the sinus of the sum is this thing. You may look it up in Wikipedia or, prove it via, some trigonometrical identities, projecting things, and doing a lot of stuff with this kind of points. But okay, these trigonometric formulas are something that you may have been taught about them even before reaching university or during your university first year. So if we assume you are familiar with them, we believe this, then this is x in body frame, this is y in body frame, and this r is also multiplying this and this, so this is y body frame and this is x body frame when I multiply by r. So substituting these things in there, we obtain this linear operator on the body coordinates that transforms it to the world coordinates. I mean, it's linear in xy coordinates, it's not linear in theta. The thing is that if the rotation angle is fixed, then the original coordinates are multiplied by some expressions of theta and then added or subtracted. So this is linear in xp, yp, and all linear transformations can be expressed in matrix form. Indeed, if I capture this, here we have it, and we can see that this matrix operation carries out these things that we derive from the trigonometric identities. So indeed, as we knew every linear operator can be expressed as a matrix, so this cosinus of theta times x minus sinus of theta times y body. First row will encode the first equation, second row encodes the second equation, so we have it. And then this thing will be called rotation matrix. And a positive theta means counterclockwise rotation. I mean, it's just an arbitrary choice, but most books choose it like that. And then if I apply this matrix to the 1, 0 vector, which will be the forward direction in body frame, then this is multiplied by 0, so I get that column 1 is the new position of the x-axis in body frame converted to world frame. So indeed, this forward thing multiplied by cosinus of theta and sinus of theta, and I get the world orientation, let's say, of 1 unit in forward direction of my robot. And the second column of the rotation matrix, if I multiply by 0, 1, which is the y-axis leftwards things, this left thing here in body frame, well, this is theta, and then of course cosine will go pointing north and sine will go pointing west, which is the negative x in world coordinates. And indeed, this column will be multiplied by 0, and then this is the new x world coordinate and y world coordinate of the left direction in the robot internal sensor frame. So this is the meaning of the columns of the rotation matrix, the new coordinates of the principal coordinate axis, let's say, in one frame into another frame, and this group of transformations, 2D rotations, are called in math books SO2, special orthogonal dimension 2. Mathematicians like to give abstract names to common things, just adding angles, turning your hand. It's an SO2 group operation, but it's just waving your hand. This group has 1 degree of freedom, 1 way of turning. Theta can be positive or negative, but it's kind of one direction. And, somehow this group is very related to the real interval of minus pi plus pi, let's say. Topologically, rotations are sort of this fragment of the real line, and this point is teletransported, let's say, to the other end. They are the same. And, well, from this expression of the rotation matrix, or these sum of angle identities, there are some properties of the rotation group SO2 that can be proved that, for brevity, will be discussed in next video. I mean, in this video, we just discussed what a body frame is, the Cartesian polar coordinate transformation, in the sense that maybe the robot sensors detect distance and angle more than x and y, the sum of angle basic idea motivating the rotation formula to get the world, laboratory walls, east-west coordinates of any landmark my airplane pilot is seeing, the idea that rotations were linear operators in its vector arguments, and so with some trigonometrical identities we were able to define a rotation matrix so that I put some body coordinates, I multiply by them, and I get a world coordinate. We discussed the meaning of the columns of the rotation matrix. It's a group with 1 degree of freedom, 1 way to turn, the basis of other expansions to 3D, 4D, and whatever. And as I said, further analysis of the properties of this rotation group will be discussed in next video. For the moment being, we end here. Thanks for watching.